This week marks the retirement of East End Assistant Business Manager Brad Gator Miller. We had a chance to sit down with Gator and ask him a few questions about what his time here has been like.
When I was a senior in high school, I did the work release program at school. Worked at Equity Meats, which was the first introduction to a union, and cleaned. They made McDonald's hamburgers, and cleaned the machines on third shift. Went from that, got into labor's union, worked in the labor's union. My dad was an operating engineer and worked for the laborers a couple years, and then one of my buddies got his mom got cancer and they moved to Houston, down there to that hospital down in Houston, and went to work for McGill Maintenance, and it was a non-union outfit. But they worked on turbines, and that's how I eventually ended up doing what I do today. But went from there, worked directly for Florida Power at their different as a contractor, an independent contractor, and then hired on with Siemens, and that's how I eventually ended up here.
Been awesome working with Gator, having somebody come from the field that had a passion to come in and look at everything, that also had the experience and knows if you feel a pinch over here, you feel the pain over there, and bringing everything together instead of just one perspective, but bringing it from the power plant, not just from the line side, and being able to look at all different crafts with an open mind. He came from being a part of the E-board and coming to all the local meetings to then being part of our staff, which has a participation involvement or investment rather than just coming in for a job. He didn't do it just like a job like some people might look at it as, and that's been my best part of it.
Working with the hall.
The first step was 96, 97. I believe it was in that time frame that I became a union steward. And Greg Montag prior had been on the negotiating committee, and in 97 he stepped back, and I stepped in 97. That's when I got really involved. As coming from where I came from, Jeffrey Energy Center, and being on the executive board, I think I spent 4 terms on the board, been a steward, been a chief steward, thinking that I actually knew something coming in here. But being inside that fence, there's just so much coming into this position, and dealing with all the other contracts outside of the Westar agreement, and then dealing with all the other classifications that a person doesn't normally have to deal with. So yeah, it was a huge eye-opener. Even though sitting on the executive board, you hear them talk about different agreements, but actually having to administer those agreements, pretty big undertaking.
Working with Gator has been fantastic throughout the years because he brings a different perspective to the job. Coming from the powerhouse and having that perspective, he's also got that gung-ho, I'm going to whip out that sword, and really pushes us to be really talking through the issues to make a decision on the best route to go. I love his positive attitude. I don't care how bad things are. He's got a positive attitude in the end of that. He can be all riled up and really getting angry, and yet it spins around to where the positive side of that is. So it's been fantastic. It's raised us. It's raised the knowledge and the ability for us to interact with our members. So I really appreciate Gator's time.
Definitely you, and that's something, you know, coming in here in 2014, that was something that John and I and Gene, you know, one of our goals was to educate the membership. That was one of the things coming from Jeffrey. It was just a lack of knowledge of the contracts and what a member, you know, what the role of a member actually is. And yeah, and that goes on today is trying to encourage the members to go to meetings, ask questions if they don't know and understand. Anybody that ever picks up a contract book, and the first time I picked up our contract book, and you start reading it, and it's like, who wrote this, and what language is this? But after you get used to reading it and understanding the reason it's written the way it is, then you start to understand and know. But without being involved and asking questions and attending meetings and getting with your union stewards and your reps and assistants and the business manager, you'll just be a member and you won't really know. And it's very beneficial to know. If we could teach everybody to the level of a union steward and have that interaction, and everybody had that in the field, this union would be really tight, really good. And not tight so much. Still a chicken factory.